Hi, everybody. This is Mindy Dopler Nelson of the Dopler Properties Group of Keller Williams Realty, and I'm so glad that you joined us today. I'm going to be talking about buying a home or selling a home during these unusual times. Some people think, oh, we shouldn't be doing that, and others have to move, whether it's through a birth, a death, a divorce, need to downsize, upsize. There's always people who need to move. And Massachusetts has determined that real estate is an essential business. So it's business as usual-ish. So there are some changes that we've made to protect everybody in these unusual times. And I'm going to share with you a presentation, and let's see how it goes. All right, I am not bringing up my PowerPoint. I'm not sure why. Let's see if I can do that. All right, here we go. So I hope that you can see me. Are you able to see if I could just get a heads up from somebody that you're able to see this screen, because I can't tell. So I hope that you can see the screen that I had sharing with you, because all I'm seeing is me, and it says that it's being shared. So I'm going to go back to that screen so I can follow along, and I hope that this will all be visible to you. And if not, I hope that the audio will at least speak for itself. So let's get started. When it comes to buying or selling a home during these unusual times right now, what I want to know is that safety comes first. Yes, people need to buy homes, need to sell homes. Most importantly, everybody needs to stay safe and healthy. So what does this mean? Well, if you need to sell a home, we'll have the initial consultation virtually. If you need to buy a home, same. The initial consultation will be virtually, and it will be set up through one of our video programs that I'm more familiar with than this one that we're using today. Documents will be signed electronically. Papers that need to be notarized can be notarized virtually as of about a week ago. When you list a home, the descriptions in the multiple listing, photos, there'll even be video tours and floor plans, much more that can be seen virtually rather than by somebody going into the home. And if somebody is selling a home and they can vacate, that would be even better. Virtual tours are encouraged. So we'll have professionals make videos of the home as if the buyer is literally walking through the home. Buyers are pre-screened, and the homes that they see are pre-screened so that people don't waste time going into properties unnecessarily. They're disinfected between showings, and all the lights are turned on, the closets and the doors are open so that nobody has to touch surfaces. And people will be wearing masks and gloves every time they go into your home or touch a lockbox. Even the closings, they have limited the people who come, so that is only the buyer and the attorney. When you list a home, when you meet with a real estate professional face-to-face for the first time in Massachusetts, a mandatory consumer disclosure is required to be signed. And there's different ways that you can have a relationship with the person with whom you are meeting. You can either have them acting as a facilitator, so they don't really have an interested party in the transaction. They literally convey information from one person to the other, and they can't negotiate on your behalf, and they don't even owe you any confidentiality. On the other hand, they can be an agent, whether it's a buyer's agent, for a seller as a seller's agent. And then they have a fiduciary responsibility of confidentiality to you, as well as other requirements. When somebody lists their home, in Massachusetts, we always use an exclusive listing agreement. so that we have an exclusive relationship and we do everything to get your home sold. And if you are buying a home, we have an exclusive buyer agency agreement too. We want to make sure that you know that we are as committed to you as you are to us. And I put together the seller and buyer timeline. Normally, this is just used for the buyers, and I've added some boxes that are in orange to show where the seller's participation would come in. Now, we could spend a lot of time going through this in detail. I have provided this in the handouts so that it has my contact information. So if you want to meet, we can go through this in a lot more detail. But just to let you know that the first thing that happens is if you're selling a home, it doesn't just go on the market. We work with you to make sure that it is decluttered, depersonalized, cleaned up as best as possible, and in some cases, updates so that you can get an even bigger return on your investment and sell your home for more money. So you may not put your home on the market right after we meet. However, if time is of the essence, we can do that too. If you're a buyer, well, you need to find out by working with a lender if you're financing, how much they'll approve you for financing so that you don't find a home and find out it's not within your budget. Boy, that's so emotional. So always get a pre-qualification from a lender first to see how much you can afford to purchase. And that way we don't waste your time and we spare your emotions too. Then we go shopping for a home. And when you find a home, an offer is made. Well, if you're on the seller side, we set it up so that you get as many offers as possible in a bidding war so that you get the highest price possible. Now, if you're working with us as a buyer, we have strategies to make sure that your offer will be the one accepted. We do our best to get your offer accepted on the very first home that you decide to make an offer on. We have to set up realistic expectations, though, and submit a strong offer. When we meet together, I can show you how we do that. With most homes, you'll want to do a home inspection. You want to make sure that it's in good condition. Well, if you're the seller, after the buyer has the home inspection, there may be things that are pointed out that become a safety or a structural issue that will require either repair or a renegotiation. So, as your representative, we will negotiate as best as possible on your behalf. Both buyers and sellers will be represented by an attorney because that's how we do things here in Massachusetts. An appraisal will be ordered from the lender, and once that has been accomplished, we move forward to the next stage. In the middle of that, there are deposits that are made, there are more forms that need to be signed. The smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors will need to be inspected. And right now, during the coronavirus, the fire departments are not doing the smoke detector inspections. So the onus will be placed on the buyers to take care of that after they close, if they close during the time we still have the restrictions. Otherwise, that is the seller's responsibility, which is why it's an orange. So we have a purchase and sales agreement, which comes out of the home inspection and any new negotiations that might occur. If the buyer is getting financed, the lender will be doing a credit check, and they do that, especially now with the coronavirus. They continue to do that really up until the day before closing to make sure you still have a job and you can afford this home. So notice that, and we have a final walkthrough, because as a seller, you need to make sure everything is out of the home unless the seller has agreed to accept as a gift or to purchase some of your items, and for the buyer to make sure that the home is in the same condition that you last saw it. And then we have the closing. So I have forms for house hunting to help you to identify and to remember the things about the homes that you saw so you can rate them. I have an app that allows you to look at homes virtually. And of course, we have paperwork for the contract to purchase. I have consumer paperwork on a home inspection to help you to identify things. So I bet you're wondering, How's the market doing, right? Should we wait? As a buyer, should I wait? As a seller, should I wait? No, not really. Did you know that there are loans right now as low as 2.75% interest? I've never seen anything like that. Those are historically low interest rates for the past 60 years. So you have stronger buying power right now if you're a buyer. Why would you want to take a chance that interest rates could tick up again? I mean, this time last year, they were at 4.5%, which would mean you would have about $20,000 less buying power for that 2% difference. Well, right now, prices have been holding steady. Inventory has been holding steady, but it's a low inventory. So as a seller, that also means that you can sell your home for the highest price. Well, if you're both buying and selling, you can't do both at the best time unless you're going to rent in the middle. So it'll all balance out for you in the end. And as a buyer, because only serious buyers are out there right now, you've eliminated a lot of the competition. As I mentioned, at the end, before you close, you have a final walkthrough, and I have a checklist for you to use as well. So what do you get from me when you sell or when you buy? You get a knowledgeable and professional realtor who represents you. You have a thorough consultation to determine your unique needs and wants in selling a home or in buying a home. You get advice as a seller on how to price your home based on what's going on currently in the market, not what's happened a month or two ago before this pandemic. You need to price it right now so that it doesn't sit on the market and take multiple price reductions. And we proactively prospect for buyers so that we only bring the best qualified buyers into your home. We hire professional photographers and do showings virtually. A serious buyer afterwards who's made an offer can, of course, make arrangements to come into the home, provided that they've done so in a safe way with hand sanitizer, gloves, and a mask. You also get a committed ally who presents your home so that you get the highest price with multiple offers and will negotiate on your behalf. You'll get guidance throughout the process and the backing of a trusted company, Keller Williams Realty. As a buyer, you'll also get someone who'll represent you and the thorough consultation. You'll get advice on making offers in a real price point, not a lowball price point that will get the seller upset so they don't even want to consider you as a buyer. We'll do it so that it's based on a current market evaluation so you don't overpay when you buy your home. You'll get a committed ally who'll complete your purchase contract with you, present your offer, negotiate on your behalf to buy at or below market value. You'll get guidance throughout the process, and the process starts way in advance of you even going to start looking at homes. You'll get assistance with any post-close issues. Oh, I forgot to mention, both buyers and sellers are always invited to our appreciation events that we have a couple of times a year. And we'll still be doing them. Some we might have to do virtually. And of course, you'll get the backing of a trusted company, Keller Williams Realty. So in summary, you'll get specialized knowledge, the right information and advice, a strong support team. You'll receive better service and have a lot better results with a lot less hassles. You'll keep your emotions between the lines and have innovative consumer programs with leading technology so that you can have that sold sign on your home. So I'm going to go back here, and I see that you could see the screen, and I zipped through this very, very quickly. And I'd like to know if there are any questions. Okay. I now see some of the comments. Oh, there were some technical difficulties, but it looks like they've been fixed and that you got to see anything. All right. So I don't know at what point you were able to see my screen. If anybody wants to put in a comment or a question, um, anything that you want to know about buying a home, selling a home, and it doesn't just have to be during the coronavirus pandemic. If you have any questions about anything real estate related or any real estate professionals. Do I have any tips specifically for first-time buyers? Oh, yes, absolutely. Glad that you asked that question. That really is a good question. So first-time home buyers, yes, don't work with the person that you meet at an open house, um, unless you're not buying the house from the open house. What happens is that sometimes buyers decide that they're going to shop around for a home before they ever meet with the real estate professional. So they go from open house to open house, they look online, and then they choose someone. And what happens is that they choose somebody who maybe is not used to working with buyers, they're just used to working with sellers. If they're working with the listing agent and decide, oh, well, we'll cut out the buyer's agent, maybe we'll get a better price and we'll work with the listing agent. Well, that just means that the listing agent gets the compensation that would have been paid to the buyer's agent. It doesn't mean that you'll necessarily save money. And that oath of confidentiality, they don't owe it to you. They owe it to the seller. So they're not really representing you on your best behalf. Now, there is something called dual agency. So let's just say that I have a listing and I'm working with you as my buyer, and you find out that the listing I have is exactly what you want. Well, I have an exclusive agreement with both parties, so I could enter into a dual agency, and I could be very careful to protect the confidentiality of each of you and represent you both fairly. It's different than not representing the buyer and just having the seller represent you as the seller's agent. So please know that there is a difference between the two. The other thing is read reviews, ask people how long they've been in the business, and more importantly, do they do this full time? I'm a full-time agent. When I first got into the business, I won Rookie of the Year with the Northeast Association of Realtors for the number of transactions and the volume of transactions. I'm a go-getter. I have a background in academia. I used to work at the university. I'm used to teaching. I'm used to doing research. So keep in mind that somebody who has a more diverse background may be able to bring skills to the transaction that you wouldn't get with someone else. We don't just open up doors and show you homes. There's a lot more to the transaction than that. I see that there's another question. Do I see that the market will be crashing a bit for buyers since prices are still high in 6 months to a year due to the virus? In Lowell, no, I'm sorry to tell you this. So there's a misconception that what's happening now is going to be like when the market crashed back in what we call the Great Recession, back in 08 to 2012, when market prices did come crashing down, and it was a really bad thing. Let me tell you what the difference is. The difference is back then, it was the housing market that led the recession. Here, this is affecting the housing market only because of a health pandemic. This is not something that the economy has caused. As long as we still have low inventory, as we have had for many years here in Lowell, we're going to find that the prices are strong. So I'm sorry to say to buyers that my crystal ball is cloudy and I could be wrong. All leading indicators are saying that, and people like Warren Buffett, people in the real estate that make tons of millions of dollars through real estate are saying that it's real estate that's going to actually lead the economic recovery. Real estate is going to lead it, not suffer as a result. Let's see what else. Any tips on selling an income property? Okay, good question. Yes. So thanks, Andy, for asking that question. I'm just curious if you're thinking of selling the one that I know you have. Yeah, I actually work with investors who have income property to sell. And I know that this is a concern of quite a few investors right now. They may have more difficulty finding a renter who wants to move at this time, or maybe they have a renter who's lost their job and they're going to be in an uncomfortable situation of collecting from their renter and being able to pay the mortgage on the property that they have. In some cases, maybe it's not the right time to sell. Maybe what you want to do is work out a payment plan with your renter. On the other hand, with the prices going strong throughout Massachusetts, particularly in the Boston and greater Merrimack Valley, if you want to sell your income property, we can definitely have a conversation. Marketing is the most important thing. Now, keep in mind that there's aspects of real estate where people have never gone into the property. Leisure homes, second homes, timeshares. People buy those all the time and never go into the property until after the purchase. So we can use those same kinds of techniques to sell income properties as well, so that you don't have to have a bunch of investors going through your property. So many people are buying and selling homes right now without anybody ever walking through the front door. Even appraisers are doing drive-by appraisals rather than going into the property, unless it's a multi-unit property. All right. Seems like mortgage rates are really low right now, too. Yeah, they are. They're sick, because I have never seen anything so low. Let's see. We have a rental property and want to rent it out, but people are losing their jobs. Yeah. So when you interview somebody to rent out your property, I would really encourage you to see what kind of a job they have. If they're in the restaurant business, the hospitality business, I'm glad that there are some SBA loans that those businesses have received some money for. Some of them still haven't received money because they've been beat out by some of the bigger companies. So I would suggest, if you can rent to somebody who's maybe a first responder, I mean, those people, or an essential worker, those people are going to stay employed as a result of this pandemic. So you can feel a lot more confident that they'll be able to pay their rent. Let's see what else. Will I be able to get a tenant who can afford rent? Credit checkup until day renter moves in. Yeah, I would, just like on a buyer, if you're going to have a buyer, the bank is going to check up until literally the day before of closing to see that they are still employed and that they haven't charged up a bunch of ridiculous purchases just to live on, and that they have not altered their debt to income ratio above a certain amount. And for a lender, that might be 45%, 42%. Some could even go as high as 56%. I work with a lot of different lenders who have different programs. In terms of renters, you can also find out what their debt to income ratio is and make sure that their rent is only going to represent a certain percent, maybe up to 50% of their income. And of course, if they have charged up their credit cards to the hilt, then once you add that rent onto it, then their debt to income ratio might surpass that maximum amount. One of the forms that I didn't put on my slideshow is I have mortgage do's and don'ts, and some of those strategies could even be useful for a landlord or a renter. Things that you wouldn't want to do before you rent a place or buy a home. You don't want to go shopping. And when I mean don't go shopping, don't go buy the new washer dryer. Don't go buy the new appliances. Don't even buy the furniture. because if you have too much debt as a result of these purchases, now all of a sudden you're going to owe so much money that you'll be denied the loan. And then you have all of these things for a home that you're not going to get. So hold off on that. So it looks like we're out of time. Feel free to reach me at mdoppler@kw.com. I also have a business Facebook page for Dopler Properties, and I look forward to talking with you real soon. Take care, everybody, and thanks for joining us.